If all you knew about black families was what national news outlets reported, you are likely to think African Americans are overwhelmingly poor, reliant on welfare, absentee fathers, and criminals, despite what government data show, a new study says. Major media outlets routinely present a distorted picture of black families, portraying them as dependent and dysfunctional, while white families are more likely to be depicted as sources of social stability, according to the report released Wednesday by the racial justice organization Color of Change. This leaves people with the opinion that black people are plagued with self-imposed dysfunction that creates family instability and therefore, all their problems, said Travis L. Dixon, a communications professor at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, who conducted the study. How white TV writers decide the stories Hollywood tells America. Such stereotypes fuel political rhetoric and inform public policy, such as Congress's consideration to gut social safety net programs, he said. Stricter work requirements, drug testing, and other welfare restrictions are likely to be supported by a public exposed to inaccurate portrayals of black families, the report said. Legislators can point to media coverage of black families in their zeal to further limit welfare programs and say, it's all their fault. They just need to get their ducks in a row, Dixon said. Poverty and welfare were not always stigmatized in the media as a predominantly black issue, the report said. White men who benefited from the anti-poverty programs in the 1920s and 1930s were typically thought of as having run into hard luck and just needed the support to help them through the tough times, it said. Over time, however, political leaders and the media have worked to pathologize black families in the American imagination to justify slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, widespread economic inequity, and urban disinvestment, as well as to gain and maintain political and social power, wrote Nicole Rogers, founder of Family Story, a nonprofit communications and research firm which commissioned the report with Color of Change. Researchers reviewed more than 800 local and national news stories and commentary pieces published or aired between January 2015 and December 2016, randomly sampling the most highly rated news programs for each of the major broadcast and cable networks. Those included ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. Also included in the study, newspapers of national influence such as The Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, USA Today, Los Angeles Times, and the Chicago Tribune, as well as regional newspapers, conservative websites such as Breitbart, and Christian news sources like the Christian Post. The study concluded both ideologically driven news sources as well as traditional newspapers and broadcasts furthered false narratives about black families, helping to shape public assumptions that they are uniquely and irrevocably pathological and undeserving, Dixon said. Black families represent 59% of the poor portrayed in the media, according to the analysis, but account for just 27% of Americans in poverty.